Welcome back for another episode of AGP Quickies. As always, with me is the Mandalorian. Today, we are going to talk about episode 1 of season 3 of The Mandalorian. Max, get us started. What did you think, man?
Okay, so I loved it. It was too short. I think we can probably all agree it was too short. But I did. Aren't you a little short for Mandalorian? Yeah, that's your name. I like that. I didn't even think about that being a reference to the episode. Yeah, I thought other than it being too short, it was very good. Like my brother and I talk about the Star Wars shows a lot, and he's more critical of the special effects than I am. But I will admit that sometimes the effects, especially like in Obi-Wan, that last episode of Obi-Wan, there's some effects that are just atrocious, like so bad. They just looked awful. And sometimes even in Mandalorian, they haven't looked good. Like, let's look at big spoilers here for season 2. Luke, he looked pretty bad, overall. I love that scene still. Probably one of the most magical scenes of television I've ever seen in my life. I rewatch it regularly because it just makes me so happy to see Luke
I
come
do
back.
want to jump in there, though.
Okay, go ahead.
They can go in and make that better all the time. Like they can go back in and edit it because it's a digital streaming service. They could just go back and say, let's make this better. And they do. They have been doing that. So
yeah, I think it'd be cool if they would redo the last episode of Mando because Luke looks awesome in the Book of Boba Fett. But from an effects standpoint, I thought the effects in this episode were really good. Like that monster at the beginning, that was movie quality. That was really good. And then like I had heard rumors about there being this like time jump in the episode between Book of Boba Fett and this. And you could see that when you go to Navarro and you see like this whole new city built up, and you see, Karga as the High Magistrate and all that. And I don't know. I thought it was cool to see everything and kind of see the way this world has progressed. Still very sad about my girl Cara Dune. They did her dirty, but
yep, for sure.
But
yeah. You know what? Okay, I love the episode too. Let's get out the things we didn't like about it first, and we can talk about the really cool stuff. So, I did not like that they had pirates and they didn't have what's his bucket? What's his
Hondo?
face? Yeah, no Hondo. I was like, "Where's Hondo, man?" I was like,
I thought the same thing
bring Hondo in.
When they said pirates and then we saw the back of their heads. I was like, "Oh, this might be Hondo. Are we gonna finally get to see Hondo other than like at Galaxy's Edge?"
Yeah,
nope.
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up though.
I know. Okay.
I don't think those pirates are over.
Okay, so spoiler warning. I'm going to have this up on the screen, but spoiler warning audibly, okay? There was the Purgle moment, right? So I was thinking, I already had in my head like Ezra, doing a little Ezra tease. And then I'm like, okay, Hondo and Ezra are like BFFs, right? So I'm thinking we're gonna have another Ezra tease. No, didn't happen. I was a little bummed.
Yeah, and if you don't know what a Purgle is, we're talking about the beginning of the episode when there's like those whales when they're in hyperspace. So if you're not as like into Rebels and you don't know what a Purgle is, that's what Tyler's referencing.
Yeah, and those
because I honestly forgot the name of those until you said them, so I figured I would let others know.
Yeah, fair enough. But honestly, like that was a bigger deal, I think, than even people are making out of it, because seeing those in hyperspace, like people didn't even know, like it was just a theory that they could hyperspace travel before. Like people hadn't really seen it until Rebels, right? So the fact that they ran into them in hyperspace was like a really super, super rare thing. So that was another aspect of it.
Okay. Are they attracted to force sensitive people? Is that a thing?
They could be. I don't know if that's part of the lore of them or not.
Okay.
But maybe.
I forgot that they were such a rare thing to see, because I saw that and I was like, that's a really cool Easter egg, but I didn't think much of it. But since it is more rare, maybe there is more to it. I still don't think Ezra is going to show up in this season. I think that this is just a tease and it's setting things up, and then that in Ahsoka we'll get to see Ezra. I don't see a world where we see Ezra here.
Well, my thought was that might be something set up at the end of the season where like Mando somehow gets involved with a search for Ezra or something like that. Um, I thought but because why else do that in the Mandalorian, right? Like, why do this tease that has no capitalization on it, right? Like,
Maybe.
why do
Yeah.
the hype? So, um, but I'm still waiting for them to capitalize on BB-8 from the Book of Boba Fett series, but that's a different topic. But but another thing that I was a little bit like we talked about this, Max. He goes to see Bo-Katan, which I love her character, especially like the live action one. I like even more than the original, right? But
Which is awesome that it's
uh,
the same actress.
yes, yeah, she's great. I don't know her name, but she's great. Um, but yeah, like he goes to visit her,
We
and I
should
love
know her
seeing her
name.
on.
She's a big Katie Sackhoff. Do I have that right?
Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Okay. If you're listening,
Battlestar
Katie, I'm sorry I
Galactica.
forgot your name.
Yeah.
You're probably not, but if you are, just in the off chance. So so he goes in to see her, and there's just this big building, and he walks down this huge hall, and there's this throne she's sitting at, and she's like, nobody's here. And I'm like, what? You just sit on this throne all day, every day, waiting for the Mandalorian to show up? Like, it was very, very odd to me. Like,
Yeah, it is a little odd, and I'm like, was there? I mean, she looked cool on the throne, but I agree. I'm like, this is kind of dumb. But maybe there's a cut scene where he, sent a transmission to her, let her know he was coming. I
yeah,
gotta make it make sense. I gotta make it make
right.
sense.
But yeah, no, I agree though, Max. I think that the monster at the beginning, the little that sea monster thing, not little obviously, but that sea
Yeah,
monster thing
massive.
was awesome. Um, and I think most, like, you talked about Luke not looking great, which I agree with that, but I feel like most of the effects in the Mandalorian have been top notch. Like, they've looked really good. There's been obviously a few questionable things, but I
I
think
agree.
that's one thing that they've done really well. Um, but yeah, I mean, there was a lot of action throughout too. Like, I mean, there were like short little skirmishes, right? But it was just kind of paced really well. I felt like kind of slowed down. He goes into town, he sees his old friend, and then kill a bunch of pirates, and then and then he's
It's all
flying away.
it's all space westerny, and I just love the western vibes. Every
Yeah,
time Mando, like his whole show is just all about that. I rewatching the first two seasons, like there are multiple times I didn't realize how often they do standoffs. They happen a lot,
yeah.
especially in the Mando series.
Yeah, for sure. And they're threatening what's his face? Help me with names, Max.
Grief
The
Karga?
yeah, the leader of the town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're threatening him, and I'm like, "Okay, you know that Mandalorians are like the most BA people in that galaxy, right?" And he's standing right there looking like he wants to kill you, and you guys are just like,
In a full
"Well,
suit
good
of
job."
Beskar. Yeah. It's just
I was like,
arrogance. Arrogance.
yeah. I was like, "These pirates are not smart." Which also makes me think you probably work for Hondo, because that seems like the people who work for Hondo.
I do wonder if Hondo's gonna get looped in here somehow, but like Hondo's always on the good guy's side, so often reluctantly. But I'm curious to see because we know he's
he
alive. The Galaxy's Edge stuff takes place during like the sequel era, and it's canon. So Hondo is alive at this point in time.
yeah. Yeah, he should be for sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think he does reluctantly end up on the good guy's side in the Rebels series, but obviously a lot of his life has just been pirating, right? So
Yeah,
like
yeah,
even Han Solo went back to his smuggling after the rebellion, right? So I
yeah.
think it would
That's
be pretty normal to see him end up back in his old ways after Ezra's not been around for a while.
Yeah, I just don't think that he's going to be like over the Swamp Thing pirate guy. I feel like if Hondo gets involved, he's going to be like a rival pirate gang. or
Yeah,
something.
like they were partners at one point, and then Hondo screwed him over.
I could see that.
Yep.
Absolutely. That would be
Yeah.
so in character. Hondo screws everybody over. I love Hondo so much, man. We need him. Like
Well,
you want to add some like extra because there's comedy obviously already in the Mandalorian stuff, but you want to
yeah.
add some more Hondo.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like he's just the right amount. But I feel like we've done so much talking about Hondo, but uh, but anyway, yeah, I thought the episode was great. I'm still wondering what they're like because he's got a whole journey now, right? Like he's not. It doesn't seem like there's going to be any bounty hunting actually in this one, right? Like, I mean, because it seems like he's going to go on this wild adventure just to get cleansed and
Yeah, which I
repent.
don't agree with his journey. I'm like, dude, move on from these zealots, man.
Yeah,
Move on. That's what I hope the story goes to. Not that I want his helmet off all the time, but it's just like, dude, stop being part of the Death Watch. Just be a normal Mandalorian, please. I just
right.
don't. I don't want to see him going down this path. They rejected you because they're crazies. Leave it alone. But yeah, I don't expect a lot of bounty hunting either. But who knows, man? It may be that he, 2 episodes in, he gets down to the surface, and now all of a sudden he has to go on do some bounty or something, or maybe next episode he goes somewhere to start working on it, and he has to do a bounty in order to get money or information, or this whole journey could last all 8 episodes, and he has to do bounties in order to trade for things to get there. Who knows how they wrote it out?
Yeah,
I
I
hope
mean,
not. I don't want the whole season to be about him cleansing himself in the rivers of Mandalore or whatever it was, in some
yeah.
crystallized spa.
Well, and one thing we know they have to capitalize on is that dark saber, right? They can't just put that in the background. Like that's going to be huge. I mean, they've already talked about it a little bit,
Yeah.
but I mean, at some point he's going to have other Mandalorians around and pull that thing out, and maybe that's what will make him not be a zealot anymore. Is he'll have all these followers,
And
and
he'll embrace that.
yeah, maybe we'll see,
That could be cool. Do you think Sabine Wren could show up in this season?
dude.
I feel like Sabine and Mando have to interact.
I can only hope, dude. Like that, I just sit there crossing my fingers. That's all I could do. But that would be great. That'd be
Yeah.
great. I love Sabine. She's awesome. All right. Well, that's it, folks. Appreciate you watching. Make sure to smash the like button, share the show with your friends, and never underestimate the value of a quickie.